for another episode of the Chop Shop.
Oh boy!
Welcome back, everybody.
You're really the same.
Oh my god!
What happened?
We said
Y'all
"oh boy" at the
spend
same
too
time.
much time together.
Oh boy! I think we got a special podcast coming your way.
It's gonna be a good one.
We're tuned up and frequencied out together. Welcome to another episode. Very exciting guest today. Celebratory guest today for big reason we'll get into in a sec. But thank you, Mike Evans Jr. and Jules, for blessing the studio. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm in sync, bro. I'm on top of it. I'm in sync.
Yeah, how does it feel to be in the tour or the press tour section of your process of getting rent check out to the people, man?
The victory lap.
The victory lap right
Rent
now.
check.
Man, it feels fucking great. It honestly still feels surreal as shit. This is our first interview together doing this press run on Rent Check series, and it's like 3 years, man. 3 years doing anything. It's just, it feels surreal when it's done.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like what? School's like 4 years, so it's like.
We're also it's dope because I feel like
Yeah.
it's not done. It's taking the most exciting form because now the public
Now
gets
it's
to
getting
have it.
seen,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like you spent 3 years like crafting something, and now the final form is like presenting it to the world. You know,
Yeah.
Very real.
it's about to be
yes.
birthed. It's like,
Oh god.
It's like
Yeah, it's like the butterfly part, right? Where you're actually gonna like get on stage, you know, so
Yeah.
to speak. You know, you've done all this prep, you know, now the premiere and everything. I mean, it's special to be doing your premiere at the Roxy too, you know, like
Right.
did you guys know you wanted to do that there for a while?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the
Yeah.
jump.
I think wanting to do well actually initially we wanted to do it at 18th and Valencia at that open lot.
That's right.
You wanted to do like outdoors.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I think like the intention from the get-go with the show is to be as accessible as possible, and that's because of the grassroots funding. Yeah.
You guys like some Chop Shop wine?
Chop shop. Speak about accessible. You can get chop shop wine.
Get some Chop Shop wine at wink.com,
Sounds like a different website.
WINC.com.
Sponsored by, yeah.
Shout out to them.
But yeah, so I think wanted to screen the show. Oh, thank you, girl. We wanted to screen the show in the most accessible way, i.e., like free on YouTube for when the show comes out, and then also do a screening that was free and basically like honoring the fact that the show is like made by like Frisco for Frisco. Like it's 100% grassroots funded, and we initially were gonna do like a screening while we were still shooting, like just do like show the first couple episodes, so folks didn't have to wait so long. But it felt Mike kind of was like, "Fuck no."
Yeah, I was very gung ho on the idea of like all together, like episodes coming out weekly at back to back to back. I just want people to take it as most seriously as possible. You know what I mean? I think that's like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also like a chip on your shoulder. 'Cause I'm sure, like in the press release, like the content piece you did, you addressed like what you assume many folks are probably saying, like, why it takes so long, da da da. And I think that kind of like makes it so people don't say that. But now that you have the full thing ready, you can kind of like puck your chest out a little bit. And be like, look, like you can talk all that, but now it's here and it's dope. I actually do want to talk about the like you said, it's grassroots. It's funded by the grassroots. It's built from the grassroots. And can we talk about the funding of the project and how that looked like early on?
Yeah. You want to take it or?
Yeah. I think. Yeah, the first like promos we made for it were like, it's funny. I had like hit up Jules maybe like a fucking like year prior, and I was like, yo, I have like these green screen ideas of like me on the moon and like me sitting in a classroom with like
that's how
influential figures behind me, and like It's the other one, me running up the stairs with like money falling. And initially that was like for the stand-up special, and then it's just like once rent check became a thing, it was just such a easy like push into that, which was like I was like, oh, this is how we're gonna advertise it, right? But it's just like I don't know, I just trip out the fact that like we're working with Jules for so long on so many different things that ended up being us raising money for rent check. But all the fundraising, all the money literally came from like people from all walks of life. I mean, fucking my old teachers, like literally like elementary school teachers, like people from church, like people I was on the same basketball team with, which I was horrible on. Like people I thought hated me. I was like, oh, you gave me $5. That's tight. And like, and it's just like, I mean, people who love Jules, people who love me. It was really like, still to this day, dude. I it's kind of mind blowing because it's not something that I've even done before. Like it's not like, oh, we trust you because you've made a show before, so sick. Let's give you more money. It's like. Truly was off the love of me and Jules, and I was like, holy shit, I love my hometown, and
yeah, I mean, I think that makes it special. Obviously, by itself, it's special, but to know that it was in part funded by like hundreds of Venmos, you know,
Yes.
I think it really like roots it. No pun intended, but like in being grassroots, like the people around you and the people around those people saw the idea and saw the promise in both of you, and were like, I'm gonna send $10, and that like was multiplied by 100 and 100 and 100, you know.
Yeah, I mean, not even just the funding too, but the way that it was put together. I mean, every time I would go on to set, it's like, oh my God, look at everybody here. What's up? Hey guys, you know, and it's just like people from all walks of each other's life, you know, coming together at the same spot, putting it all together, you know, and that, I don't know, that put gas in my tank to just be really excited for it, you know, and like all these locations that are just down to have you, you know, just like you get to showcase the Tennessee Grill, you get to showcase, you know, various businesses, and it's just, it's all inclusive, you know, and
That's dope.
yeah, I mean, how long is your credit list, dude? Like, you know, like how many,
long,
you know?
long.
Yeah.
I mean, we I think we have like over 400 donors. Definitely over 400.
wow.
Might go into like 500.
Yeah, including the donors too, if you list everybody. Yeah.
But it's long. I think, and kind of speaking to what you're saying, like every time we were shooting, it was like a reunion, you know, of folks who hadn't seen each other in a while, or we hadn't seen in a while, but we're like coming through in that moment, and just kind of, but like folks being down. And I think maybe it spoke also to like, you know, this was during quarantine, which, you know, arguably wasn't like maybe the best thing to be doing at the time.
It's a little bit of what we needed,
you know
though.
what? Knock on fucking wood. Like no one got COVID. On set.
Wild.
Which is wild.
Y'all were good about holding down how
were.
we should come to set, though.
Yes.
You guys were good about that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there was just the energy of like at the time of folks wanting to do something, and you know, people living off of unemployment, and so folks had the time frame, you know, to do something like the show, and donate their time, and it turned into this beautiful amalgamation of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's another part too. Is I think for those that don't know, like a lot of this came to be during COVID, and I think it's like a great representation of like, you know, like the what's the bird that rises from the ashes?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. You know, just like beauty out of the ugly. But for those that don't know, I think it'd be cool if Mike, you could tell folks like the real, like from start, because I know it. You know, I know like there was a plan to go to New York and the stand up, but I think folks don't really know fully what happened before rent check and what led to it, and then where it's at now. You know.
Yeah, shit, man. I wanted to do a comedy special, and I had it like planned out and everything. I want to do a comedy special in like July of 2020, and I had that planned out like maybe like November. It's your Dario in the background.
I text my roommates and shit.
Hoover. Hoover House. But yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, how long ago was this? Yeah. In 2018, I wrote like 3 different scripts that like I wanted to plan out for my comedy special, right? And I wanted to like have like 3 videos play, and then and then do the comedy special part, and then just like and then move to New York after that. I'm like, this is gonna be sick. I got everybody involved. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be great. And then like by the time I was actually ready to do the special itself, it was gonna be like June 2020. And I remember the beginning of March and like just hearing about like all this thing. I was pushing it away. Like my parents were like, nah, this shit's kind of scary. I was in the group chat with my family. I was just like, we'll be good. We'll be fine. And then slowly but surely, every single comedy show, every single open mic I went to was like, oh, they're shut down because of COVID. I'm like, everyone's just afraid. Oh, it's shut down because of COVID. Oh, it's shut down. Wait, the NBA stopped. Wait, school is stopping. Wait, like, and everything stopped. And then it was kind of like, dude, like, and so I definitely had like a whole, like, definitely like a mental shit about it for sure, man. Like, and then after that, so how it's phased in the rent check. It's like in 2018 I wrote rent check preview. In 2019 we filmed rent check preview, and then it comes out in 2020, and then put that online in 2020. Honestly, low key, putting out that shit was high key a call for help. I'm not gonna lie. I put it on July 4th because I was like, what's wrong with America? Like, I'm tripping, and like I wrote this whole thing, and like I saw all these big plans, and I felt like the world was ending. So dropped that July 4th, 2020, and the response from that, I was just kind of like, holy shit! Like, people get it, people understand my writing, and like it was the first time I really felt like an artist, because obviously comedians are artists, but we're not always put in that bracket. Ever, right? What it is an art. You look at that shit, because stand-up comedy looks like, oh, it's just a dude off the street who just happens to be funny and saying things, right? But I felt like an artist because it was like I sat there and did this thing for a long time, didn't know if it was gonna work, got like the sound done, the pictures for it, the advertising, the shit for it, and it was just kind of like, damn, this is what it feels. This is what all my music friends and videographer friends really feel like all the time, And so, so to get that positive feedback back, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna go ham. And I just literally like a battery under me, dude. I wrote that shit in a month. I wrote the whole series, like not the whole series, but the whole season, first season in a month. And we were filming Dedicated to Those Who. I was in the car with you, and I told Jules, I was like, yo, trying to do a TV show? And Jules was like, yeah, sure, maybe. And I was like, and
that was the beginning of COVID, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I remember because you had the elusive like elderberry gummies or something. And you're like, well, I guess I'll share it with you too or something.
Yeah. We're like driving to Vallejo. We're driving to my house.
All right, that's the picture of you and me passed out in your parents' house.
Yeah.
So that's the day you first asked Serial to do the short film?
That's actually
the short series, web series?
Yeah. And I was like, I got this iPhone 13. It's going to be looking really nice on the phone. Jules was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to take it seriously.
That's crazy.
So
that means Serial for the kids, you were the one that pushed it the extra mile to be
for sure.
as professional and pristine as it will be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think like definitely after the preview, you had already put out this thing that was, shout out to Pato and Beltron and all the things, all the folks who put in work there. Sophia Hirsch, who put energy. Arnell into the production quality, and I think that that's also what worked so well for the preview, is that you had, not only was there the script that was endearing and like spoke to folks' experiences and like hard conversations people were having with family, but it also looked good. Like, it was well done and well produced, and I think it would have been such a disservice to like shoot a web series building off of that on an iPhone. And people have shot great things on phones, but I think like you were trying to do it on some like TikTok skit kind of vibe.
There was a while where I was like, we're gonna put this all on Instagram, because like the Rent Check preview did so well on Instagram, and that was my whole thought process at that time. But I fully agree. I mean, obviously, I fully agree that it's bigger than that.
Yeah, well, but I also think like even in that moment of being like, no, we're not gonna shoot it on iPhone. I don't think we really knew what it would mean, and I think now it's become something a lot larger than the original intention. And I think, you know, through different conversations of like, oh, like this is what we want to do with the rest of our lives. This is 100%. We want to take this show and do more with it, and have built so many connections with folks, and it just like definitely scaled out from that conversation for sure.
Yeah, can you talk about your team too? Because I mean, you have an amazing staff that you always work with. I mean, I don't know if staff is the right word because you guys are all on the same. You know, like I don't.
A collective.
Yeah,
put on by
exactly.
Surge.
Yeah.
Surge is the
Surge.
The team, right?
Yeah, so Surge Media Collective is a group of folks that I met through state and also through youth programs. Who all like wanted to do film, also understood that there was a lot of issues in how film is made and wanting to kind of transgress the usual dynamics of the filmmaking process. And so I think it was an interesting mix. I think I was nervous about how Surge Media folks and then like our SF people would like interact with each other to a certain extent, but everyone was a stoner, so I feel like that worked out.
So true.
But yeah, Annie, who's a fantastic producer and AD, and Jill, who also is a fantastic producer and creative producer, and Mike and I were kind of this core group. Miguel Lopez was our sound guy, also gaffer, also post sound person,
also actor in the show.
Also actor, and like so many other folks too. Wen, who I've known since I was 14 through film programs, came through helping with editing stuff. There's so many folks. Gabe Zapata, aka Smoothies, is a brilliant composer.
Man.
I think he should really think about doing that. You know, make some money.
Yeah, Smooth is crazy.
Yeah. I think he's done it for other like short films that people have done.
Yeah.
I made a movie called Drug Pizza one time.
What?
He did the score for that. It's
nice.
Great, yeah.
Drug. What's that about?
It's about like
I wonder.
We're just partying and then I go crazy off of the drugs that we're doing and it's like just super cartoonish acting and just all over the place.
Right. I'm trying to see that.
But yeah, it's great. I go crazy and eat pizza. But like Smoothies did the soundtrack for that, and he just he'd be going crazy. I mean, like he made his own beats for the whole Rencheck series. I mean, you could put an album out for all the music that got made for Rencheck, even
Arguably, there is an album coming out for the.
Yeah, what were those recording sessions like? I mean, you had fat recording sessions for the whole.
That's a whole other beast. The Rencheck album is almost separate. Not separate, but like it's own.
Is it?
Yeah, like some of the songs will be in the series, but a lot of the songs won't be in the series.
Well, then what was kind of.
But they share. I think like the Rencheck sessions did start from a place of all the connections being made on the show with musicians, and then also all these musicians weren't like being like, hey, we actually want to come together, hey, can I bring my homie, and then it just blossomed from there too. And the original intention was that these songs were going to be in the show, and for various we have some songs, not all the songs, definitely will be its own entity. But it's the same. I think it's the same spirit, right?
100%.
Same spirit for sure.
Yeah. The idea of just collaborating with just so many different people. Just the idea of collaboration based off of just like the love and like I think that's definitely the element of both. It's just kind of like this. What can you do with the people within reach that you love and respect, and you believe in artistically? That's 100% the same spirit, and that shit is like, it's definitely its own. It's definitely its own conversation for sure.
Yeah.
Because that shit is also fucking. It's beautiful, and it's also just a giant beast of a project.
That's
as well.
Well, I mean, that also, I think a lot of folks might not know, like, who is the cast for Rent Chick, you know? Because you're saying it's in the same spirit. Not necessarily. I'm not saying the names, but, like, where did you draw from, you know?
Oh, man. The rap community. Oh, my
right.
God.
So I don't think, so talk about
100%.
that. So how come you did that?
Well. So, like,
hip hop.
definitely, like, just before I say that, I was gonna say real quick that, like, the crew is, like, literally Jules knows all these fucking amazing talented people, and the cast is like Mike knows all these fucking amazing talented people. Like, this is just such a like a brainchild of both of our like connections and just knowing good-hearted people and to put in the same room with each other. And that I immensely thankful that fucking happened, because that's so crazy, honestly. Like, but yeah, I drew from from rappers and comedians and producers and just like old friends too. Like, honestly, my friends, and then like talented people. Like we didn't have a casting call. We didn't have like.
You wrote people into the show.
100%.
Without asking them.
Yeah. I wrote it.
That was the brilliant part, though, is that they said yes.
Yeah.
But it's in line with the whole vibe of the show itself, you
True.
know, just getting the people around you, you know, the people that are here, the people that push you to write the thing in the first place, you know?
100, real shit. No, I mean, the people who inspired me, I definitely like was like, I'm putting you in the show, and like, 100% Jules is right. I honestly forgot that. I wrote the full script with all these characters in mind without asking them, but I wrote them in as their personalities or like who could do the job. I don't want to say personalities because you both are in the show, and I feel like your characters aren't who you are. But
I don't know. I feel like Satchel's pretty much himself.
I like to think so for myself. And hopefully you see why.
Definitely different. Yeah.
You'll see. No, but yeah, dude. I mean, I look up to all my friends, and like even when I was like in elementary school, I used to write stories. And the whole cast of the stories I write like these sci-fi stories about all my friends going to space and fighting like space aliens and shit. And like
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I would write it, and the whole cast would be my class. And so I wrote it in second grade and third grade, and I would stand in front of the whole class and like read just lines of paper about like my friends. I would use my friends. This is honestly such a parallel. I would use my friends' talents and put it into the script for the story.
But that's like exactly what a writer needs to do, though.
Yeah.
Like that's a really great skill to have as a kid writing a script, you know.
Yeah, and I was like, I had this homie named Joey. I think that's his name. It's been 1,000 years. I'm sorry, if that's your name. Anyway, fuck. Hopefully, we can edit that in post. But he's like an amazing drawing person, like he's an amazing artist, and like I wrote him like stabbing an alien with a pencil, and like everyone was like, "Oh shit, that's dope." You know? But
you taught me how to read with your comic books.
Yes. Let it be known, Jules reads more books than me now, but I was Jules' reading buddy in elementary school.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh, is this
So
how you guys?
hold up. With the stories from second and third grade, and with you being the reading elder as a child, seems like Rent Check has been in the making for almost decades.
Decades indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
God damn.
So okay, back to the reading partner.
We're reading buddies.
How does that work?
We were like assigned.
You've never had a reading buddy in elementary school?
No, I did, but the people might not know.
No, I was in kindergarten and you were in third grade.
Second grade.
How old are you?
I'm 20. How old am I? 28.
You're 2 years older.
Yeah.
So
Also, we have
Second grade.
class of 2009 of Hoover,
Yeah.
class of 2010 of Hoover, class of 2011 Hoover.
Oh my God, 2011.
Hoover.
Yeah. Hoover gang.
Also crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Really.
what elementary school did y'all go to?
Lakeshore.
Damn.
Lakeshore, indeed.
Shout out Lakeshore.
Where'd you guys go?
Clarendon.
Went to Fairmount, which is now called Dolores Huerta.
That's tight.
It's in the mission.
Yeah. Clarendon represent.
Yeah.
So back to the rappers being, is it just rappers or is it just creatives in general from the
Creators in general, rappers, comedians.
Can you talk into the mic a
Oh,
little
my
more?
bad. Sorry,
No,
rappers in general. Rappers, comedians, DJs, producers. I mean, like,
Right.
it's so many different people. Educators,
So you just you
Man.
drew on the folks in your life
Organizers.
that you were
organizers. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, you were inspired by people in your life. You're like, I want these people to be on screen. to
100%.
represent my vision.
Definitely. Yeah.
Was that always right? You said you wrote those people in. How did that translate into real life? Was it easy, seamless? Like like you said, you wrote so and so to be this character.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point where you're like, oh damn, maybe they might need to be a better actor or whatever it may be?
I'd say there's like maybe a couple times where I was kind of like, oh, I kind of wish I made you this, right? But it's like at the same time, literally like the vast majority of the show was pretty like damn, you really wrote me into this like this. This is sick. Like I never sent the script to somebody and they look back at me like, is this what you think of me? Like, you know.
Well, you got hella rappers as actors. Did you have anyone show up late?
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Late. High.
Hip hop time running rampant. Yeah.
Late, high.
Anyone show up on
Yeah.
shrooms?
Uh,
I feel like.
Not that we know of.
Wait, so can we not say names of actors or artists who are in it?
this is Mike and Jules' decision. I don't know.
I'll drop names of
I'm about to
preview.
drop a name of a rapper, homie, who I think
I'll
might have showed
bleep
up
it
on a
out. I'll bleep
skateboard
it
on
out.
shrooms.
And there's ones that are like very, I feel like people know already.
Yeah.
Well, it's also
Yeah.
like a lot of folks are gonna see this once it comes out. You
Sure.
know.
There's a trailer. There's a trailer that will reveal a lot of the cast. Will come out soon, but you should bleep it out first.
This won't be
Yeah.
out.
This won't be the.
This won't be out until after the trailer, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know.
Yeah.
But
There you
If
go.
you say a name that you don't want on there,
take
I'll
5
bleep it.
seconds and think about it before we start saying names and details.
I think it's after the trailer.
That's right. Yeah, let's go hard.
Did Billy Lowe show up on shrooms
Yeah.
and a skateboard?
No. so Billy. Shout out to Billy. I love you so much. Billy actually got sick like right before, and he couldn't make it.
Shit.
So he was on that real rapper time.
Yeah.
He just didn't even come.
Yeah. It's okay.
Is he in it?
No, and unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
But
I mean, how many
but
peop-
also fortunately, Antoine,
Mm-hmm.
who came through to be his character, was literally perfect.
Yeah,
Such a perfect fit and played the character very well.
definitely.
Yeah.
Shout out to Antoine Reedus. He's also he plays. Damn, I forget the character name, but he's in Last Black Man in San Francisco. He also went to Soda. Yeah, he's.
Who does he play?
Antoine?
Yeah, he plays. I just always describe him as the bald black dude with the SF tattoo on the side of his head, but he's much more.
Oh,
Like it's just such a
Gaines.
distinct.
Gaines.
You see how you said, oh, like it's such.
well, because there's a
easy-
different Antoine that went to Soda that I know, but that's from like a local. But that's different. I just know Gaines is Gaines. That's why.
Mysterious Gaines,
Hell yeah.
Milk Mandela. He has so many different names. Like
Shout out
rappers
Gaines.
can just switch their names. Me and Jules are actually me and Jules.
Who
Like,
does
it's-
Gaines
Yeah.
play?
Huh?
Who does Gaines play?
Does he have a character name?
I think originally it was Billy, like in this, like
It was, but yeah.
Damn.
if we really embodied the
Gems, man.
opposite of like that warning at the beginning of films, like this is not based on real people. Like
Yeah, should
this
break
is
that
definitely based on real people.
Yeah.
You just gotta preface it with Gaines was supposed to play a Filipino man, but he's not.
Same lines. No, I'm saying, no,
He doesn't skate.
he might.
Did you have anybody proofread the script or anything like that? Like show it to
They
anybody?
just showed up to set.
Oh,
Well,
no,
the,
no,
the
no,
script
I like
was
that.
edited, but
Yeah.
like,
Oh, you mean?
No, I mean like
yeah.
like when you put it out, you're like, hey, can you check my script, see if it's good? You know, like.
Did you look at it before you agreed to be on? As
I think I did. But like we were talking about this the other night with Jill and Annie. But I feel like the first time I read the scripts, like, I mean, there was a couple moments I was like, Mike, but then for the most part,
Wait, what part?
no, I can't say. I think it was just like, Mike loves to go there. Let's just say that. But I think, but there was definitely, in like the best of ways, but it was just like maybe not. Yeah.
A couple things.
But for the most part, I mean, I think the three of us, I remember crying, laughing, like reading it and being like, "What the fuck? Like this is great." And I think it was such a great script from the get-go and spoke to what all of us were feeling and kind of going through. Like, I'm really excited for people to watch it. I think there's some things where I'm like, it'll be interesting to see how it aged and if folks kind of get like the energy of where it was coming from at the time. But for the most part, I feel like there's some universality of things that we all go through, especially episode 2.
Oh,
you know? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You all know very soon.
But yeah, it was a great script. And I think there was a lot of moments where Mike, being a great director, you were doing hell of rehearsals with people. You were doing so many rehearsals.
Hell yeah. I definitely. Damn, I almost forgot. There's so many things, but yeah,
Which changed the script, right?
Yeah, it definitely molded. Yeah, I think that's literally what molded the script.
So rehearsals with certain actors made the script change.
Yeah.
Based on how they read it or how it felt.
Definitely. I just like knew who I wanted to interact with each other. Like I'm gonna say like Rich Ayala and Larry Dorsey are in the same episode, right? And their chemistry off screen was so fucking just palpable. It's just like you're so goddamn entertaining just watching you guys interact.
Right.
And so just like there's so much of that episode where it's just literally like them being them. Like you don't have to tell them to laugh, you don't have to tell them to do this, to do that, and it's just like that shit was beautiful. And I think that's kind of how I planned everything. It's just like, oh, their chemistry will be sick on screen, and honestly, like you're way more comfortable when you're around people you know and you're familiar with. You know what I mean? So I think I wrote in that cheat code a little bit there, but
well, I think that's what Ja was saying is like it's not a cheat code, right? Like let's say you're working for a big Hollywood studio and like you're writing a script, like you probably as a good script writer, you're probably like, oh, I know this actor would work well with this actor. I'm gunning for that kind of relationship. You know what I mean?
Well, but you're not writing the script necessarily for an actor. Like a lot of scripts are written way before you cast.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's definitely scripts that are written with certain actors in mind, and then they may or may not, sign on. But I think what's unique, that's actually a super unique part about this series is that you not only were able to write characters for folks, but that they were like the majority of people. I think maybe like 2 folks out of the whole cast weren't able to make it to be their characters.
very true. Yeah.
And like literally every character outside of that is pretty much a version of themselves.
Like so like the one scene that wasn't fully fleshed out, there's a scene with Hilo and Professor Gable, and like I went to them with an idea. I was like, all right, I need you guys to argue about some shit, and then we're gonna end it like this, and like they helped honestly like build that moment based off like their chemistry, them knowing each other for years, you know, and like I remember this one moment where I was telling Jules, I was like, yo, it'd be sick if like they can like take their hair down at the same time, right? And then we got to the filming, they were like, no, what?
Can't undo the ponytail.
Me and Jules looked at each other, oh, moving on, okay. Never mind.
Wait, so Kenzo or Hilo both and Gable both said nah.
Yes.
No, to let their hair
Y'all
down.
can't see this hair.
Pretty much.
Damn,
You're like,
that's selfish,
not
bro.
a piece of meat, like
We gotta see the hair.
prepared this, you know.
Like I'm already showing my face, bro. Hair too.
Nah, I respect that. You know,
Yeah.
hair can't be for everybody.
But in that way where it's kind of like getting rehearsal done with your friends and even filming with your friends is just like that mix of like, this is so much fucking fun, but at the same time, it was like, all right, who's going to take it seriously? And who's not treating it like, it's just the homies.
Right.
Like, but like, no, because we're not telling all the homies like, yo, if you don't make it, there's not like I can tell all the 20 other people here that like, hey guys, tomorrow. You know what I mean? I know you X'd out 10 hours out of your day for this.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
I mean, I imagine that was probably also exciting for folks, like even like myself, who have like we've worked on short films right now, but like I've never been. I was a background role, but it was still exciting to show up to a space that was grassroots but felt very professional. So I feel like most people were probably like, oh, I'm gonna be on set. I'm gonna act. It's gonna be funny. We're gonna do a bunch of takes. We're in a cool location. So I feel like a lot of people probably were like grateful and like showed up fully. You know.
Yeah.
Well, for me too, like we must have done 6-7 rehearsals at least, you know, for that scene. Definitely. And that really helps to make you think about it. You have to, it's not just, oh yeah, we did a rehearsal. It's like, no, you have to keep coming back to it and revisiting it. And it really helped me take it very seriously, and just, I think is.
Yeah, how were those rehearsals?
Oh, they were dope.
Yeah, because I think I feel like those rehearsals would be maybe a turning point for like some folks. Like, oh, I'm acting the thing that Mike hit me up for, and then if they got hit up for rehearsal, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, like I wonder if you saw a transition in people's understandings of what you were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just granted, everyone respected the process. like everyone, everyone was super down and very excited.
You didn't get any divas on set or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
Mike was the diva.
Michael, yeah.
It was me.
I feel like with that much going on, you have to be a diva.
Yeah,
No.
you have to be a
You want
diva.
everything
Actually,
to be
Mike should
correct.
have been more of a diva. I think he should have.
Maybe.
Mike was a little too laid back. No.
But
Or
did
the
you
same shirt.
did you have any scenes that you rehearsed as much as the scene that we rehearsed?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because Callie J plays my guardian angel in the show, and I'd say like for the 2 extreme me and Callie episodes in the show, like me and Callie rehearsed the fuck out of that, like a lot and all the time, and like I remember at one point during 2020, like also, I mean, I wasn't fully tapped into my job at the time. But I remember like planning so many rehearsals back to back to back. I'm like, all right, Mondays we're episode 1 and this. Tuesdays we're episode this and that. Thursdays we're episode this and that. I also got to do stand up. I also got to go do my job. It was just like so much, but like it got more exciting. It was like I'm catching up with my friends and also doing this thing that like I think I don't know if I set on a number, but I was like nothing less than 8 rehearsals, nothing less than like 9 or 10. Like I didn't want to like beat a dead horse, which is a phrase that like I think Jill taught me. Is that something you told me?
That sounds like a Jules statement.
Right? Yeah, beat a dead horse, which sounds wild in perspective now I'm thinking about it. But like, but like ketamine. No,
Don't make me glue.
But he don't make me. You think there was a horse named Elmer? Anyway,
Sponsored by.
That sounds like
glue.
a horse ass name, Elmer.
Come on, Elmer. It's just fear tactics for the horse. Come on, don't be Elmer. Come on.
Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, we landed on so many. I'm sorry, my bad. You asked the question again. I got caught up in the horse and the glue.
Well, we're just talking about rehearsal and how you were just doing so much,
How many
out.
rehearsals were for sure needed to be like 6, 7, 8?
Yeah.
Rehearsals.
Like, my bad. So that's where beating the dead horse came from.
Yeah.
Like, I think like in my head, because I've never done this before, I'm like 10 rehearsals, 15, 20 rehearsals, and then like Jill taught me like don't beat a dead horse. Like once we got, if we were at one rehearsal and we were rehearsing for like an hour and a half, like minimally I was like 90 minutes, we're gonna do this shit, right? And then, but once it got to a point, like towards the later rehearsals, they were so clean. They were so like on point to the point where I was just like, yeah, you don't want to just like, all right, do it again. If it was perfect 2-3 times in a row, why 4 and 5?
Yeah, I think we actually talked about that on this podcast before, where like there's a misconception that amount equals value. You know, it's like if you're mixing songs, like if you spend 45 minutes and it's amazing, or like 2 hours and it's amazing, it doesn't mean it's missing that 4 hours to make it more amazing. It's a skill level, you know. So it's like you can get fatigued, you know, like when I'm making a beat, if I'm like going straight for 3 hours, like I gotta stop because my ears are just like hearing things wrong now because they're fatigued, you know?
Or if you just apply the principle of working out, you know, your muscles build when you're resting between workouts. So the working out is putting the work in, but the absorbing of all of it happens in between. So rehearsal, practice, you know, even for myself as a DJ, you have to tell yourself to stop because you know that when you pick it up, if you pick it up soon enough after, it'll come back, you know. You turn it into a feeling. And I feel like that's very much how it went with our rehearsals, because each rehearsal we did, you know, more and more used to it. But we did have those times where we said, you know, we maybe had the time, but we called it because we were like, look, let's save it for the next time. You know, maybe we thought about it a lot today. Maybe let's act it all out more next time, you know. And I think we had a very good balance of running it again and then stopping it where it was good.
Yeah.
You know, because when we stopped it, it felt very fresh still. And then we did the film, you know, and it felt like we had just done the rehearsal, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. But kudos to organizing all that and like doing stand up and shit. I mean, you know, how's your stand up life right now?
Oh man, everyone's mad at me. Because it's like, I think everyone's proud of me for sure, but I think like I've in the last like since post-production and between post-production rehearsals and just like going to meetings and, you know, going to editing sessions too, it's just like telling so many comedy shows are like, yo, can you cover me? Yo, can you not do this? Yo, I can't do the show tonight. And it's like, I love stand-up to death, right? But and that's why I think there's been like, so, you know, sometimes like some show producers have been like, yo, like you're bailing like a week earlier. I'm just like, I believe in this project so much that I gotta lock in. I have to like, I gotta sacrifice that, you know, that $25 I'll make on a show, you know, or like sometimes too, it's like I don't have like new material that night. I'm like, but if I have a new joke I really want to practice, I'm like, oh God, I want to go. But at the same time, like the importance of finishing out a project is just, because right now, I mean, honestly, like I still have so much room to grow in stand-up comedy. Stand-up's my comfort zone at this point. I've been doing that shit for 9 years. I'm doing this for 3, you know? And so, yeah. So like comedy right now though, it's great. I'm so comfortable. I'm so excited to like tackle different personal things. And I do highly think, honestly, like after everyone sees this show, it'll make them understand my comedy a little bit more, and vice versa. Those who have only seen me do comedy will now understand the show too. I think both tackle my, you know, political and gross mindset, growth mindset. But yeah,
Growth mindset, man.
yeah.
Sometimes to have a growth mindset, you gotta have a gross mindset.
And I also didn't know how much me and Jules thought alike too until Jules we have very similar senses of humor, which
Very dirty minds.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is the show very cutting edge, nasty?
I know, but it's
Well, that's a great question. Is
I mean,
think
Mike wrote it, dude. Of course it's going to be a little, you know, like...
Yeah. Well, I mean, for those that don't know, what is Rent Check about? What is this show?
Yeah.
What is the intention? What is the message? You know? And I think it'd be cool to get your perspective because you started with it. And then as a director, how did you take it? Like, what did you want to like add to it? You know?
Yeah. So the show really is based on me going through a quarter-life crisis, and it's honestly like it was exactly how I felt when I was like 19 years old, just kind of like trying to attach yourself to something. I think right after you graduate high school, you kind of are like, oh fuck, like I'm not just cruising through school anymore. I have to kind of find who I am, you know. And 2020 was such a mind fuck of an experience, you know, with everything going on politically, that like I pretty much made the show about that, about just me just writing in all the questions I had about the world in terms of just like religion, marriage, the police, the president, like all that stuff, and then mixed in with like what I was really going through that was relatable to everybody else as well. So it was like me questioning myself and questioning society at the same time. and how beautiful that can be, how hilarious that can be, how sad, how scary that can be, to just truly wonder. And so I think this show is really just me facing all of that, but to put it in easier terms in one sentence, it's about a young black man trying to find himself in a country that keeps trying to define who he is.
Mm-hmm. And I remember you had a very specific reason or thought behind calling it Rent Check too. Mm-hmm. You know, can you talk a little about that, about how...
Yeah,
you know?
So the original Rent Check preview, so the 3 videos I made, which Rent Check preview was a part of that, it was originally called Broke Ass Mike. And like,
I don't think I'd do that.
See, they're still laughing because I'm still broke. But I work with kids. But but yeah, it was called Broke Ass Mike, and then Rent Check came up because the preview for Rent Check involves me rejecting or walking away from a check from our brother, played by Stunamano 2, who is a cop who at first I was asking him for money for my rent, and then once I figured out what his profession was, I was just kind of like, no, I'm cool off that money. That's dirty money, you know what I mean? And yeah, and then so the whole show too, and just the country in general is so related to fucking capitalism, dude. You know what I mean? I feel like Rent Check, the initial idea came from like, I feel like if you're an artist, you have 2 checks, right? You have the check where you can actually try to live your life on, and then you have your rent check. Every time. You have one check that's just like, okay, this is to rent, one check. It's 50-50, bro. How fucked up is that? You know what I mean? But it's like, calling it Rent Check, I just always felt that pain when I started paying rent. I was just like, this isn't even my money.
Right. It seems like it's an ode to people who are, well, not, obviously it's from your perspective as being like a young black man, but it also seems to kind of split off a little bit towards creatives or people who have passions. And it's like, all they want to do is impact the world with their passions, but all they can do is struggle in this world they want to impact, you know?
And from what I understand, this started before your experience on Last Black Man, and then obviously ended after your experience on that, right?
Yeah.
I think it was the opposite.
Was
right?
it the opposite? Was it?
I mean, the inspiration for sure from Last Black Man. Because Last Black Man came out, 2019, I think.
Okay.
Because you didn't start writing Rent Check until COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
You had already planned to move to New York, get a stand-up special ready, and then COVID hit, and you're like, I can't do either of those.
Yep.
And you wrote this.
Okay. But I guess either way, can you talk about how your experience with that film impacted your experience in putting together, you know, this, how it made you learn from it to do it well?
Dude, I mean, me and Jules literally just kicked it with Joe Talbot last night, like, for hella long. Like, shout out to the homie, bro. Like, he, watching, and Jimmy Phil, shout out to Jimmy Phils as well. But just, like, watching them mix in their homies into the professional film world was, like, very fucking inspiring. Like, I remember, I've never cried that much watching a movie, and the first time I saw the final product was in Utah. It was a Sundance. And
so you had a role in Last Black Man.
Yeah.
And what was that role?
I played. What was the character's name? It was like.
Were you in the Nation of Islam?
Yeah, I was in the Nation of
Islam. I just remember you as Red Bow Tie.
Yeah, Red Bow Tie. I had like bean pies.
But you also were there from not the inception, but low key, like the beginning.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
And what role did you play on the team?
Yeah, dude. In 2014, it was like the first year I was doing stand up, and like, I had met Joe and Nat on the 44 maybe like a year prior. I remember like, and then me and Jimmy have always known each other through like parties and shit. And met Joe and Nat on the bus. And then I think they have a mutual friend, because I used to party with this guy named Jonah Goldstein, and his older brother Zach Goldstein was really close with Joe. And so Zach had come to my very first comedy show ever, which is like when I broke into SF State's Fine Arts building and just invited all my friends to watch me literally read off a journal all these jokes. And they were all clean jokes. And
Right.
and
Gorilla stand.
That was your first comedy show, right?
first comedy show.
I was
ever.
there. You broke into SF State.
Yep.
What room was it?
It was like the fine arts building. It was like this random.
And then you just let all your friends in, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And your dad came, right?
My dad
And
came.
your sister came, right?
Yep. My sister.
First comedy show.
Yeah.
Damn, I feel like I remember that actually. Like I remember being on the sidewalk.
It was a thing.
after
We're like, we're
that.
gonna go see
I
Mike's
remember
comedy
watching it
show.
on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, it was before. It was like before
Was that
that
before
one.
the YouTube one?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Well, the YouTube one was also fucking funny.
Yeah. I love that one. That was crazy. But yeah, I remember like being in there. It was like 10 p.m. by the time I stopped, and I remember like the security guard walking in. It's just like a dude talking about his dick in front of all these people who I wasn't a teacher. You all clearly weren't students. Like my dad was there. It's just kind of like his look on his face was just so bewildered. He was like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "You aren't stealing, you aren't breaking shit, but I gotta kick you out. Like, what is this?"
Is that how the show ended? We got kicked out?
Definitely. I mean, it was just time to go.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's late.
I have 4 more pages.
Pretty much. But yeah, but in that same year, so like Zach Goldstein was at that show, and Zach had been one of the main funders for the concept trailer for Last Black Man in San Francisco, and he was like, "Yo, I got some friends doing this thing. You already know Joe and Jimmy, Nat, and a couple more of the homies. Like, you should come through and throw some ideas around." And came through, fucking really understood what Joe and Jimmy's idea was, and then once I heard the story, it was about a young black man from San Francisco, from the Mo, like losing his house, gentrification. Like I couldn't help but just be like, I relate to that so fucking much. Yeah. And I was like, I will do anything to help this movie get done because this is so important. And like, yeah, the first time they showed the concept trailer was at David Talbot's fundraiser at the Brava Theater. It was like 400 people there. Like I just remember like, I think some of the border supervisors were like front row, and they play The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and or they play like concept trailer for Last Black Man in San Francisco. And I remember David Talbot, he was the first person to actually ask me to do political comedy, because all my shit was just dick jokes at a certain point. It was just all it was.
And who is David Talbot?
David Talbot is amazing. Arthur wrote Season of the Witch. He's a great dude. Also Joe Talbot's father. Truly goes into like all San Francisco history shit. But basically, he seen me do stand-up before, and he was like, "You just want to do political stuff?" Just like all political stuff. I was like, "It's going to be a little dirty and kind of crazy." And he was just like, "That's it. That's perfect. Please do that." And so after I think like, you can bleep this out if you have to. I think like went on stage and was like, gave a speech. And then right after that, I walk on stage, and the very first thing I say is, when I say fuck, you say white people. Fuck white people. Fuck white people. And like the shock on everyone's face. And David the whole time was like, yeah. Keep going. It's sick. Like,
I feel like was one of the cool border supervisors.
Yeah.
Like he was cool.
But he was still sweaty. He was like, "Oh, this is."
Wait,
man."
what were you doing where you got to go up and like in front of us? And
It was like
David Talbot's fundraiser.
fundraiser for something political. Like,
Okay.
I'm gonna remember this one. It's definitely on my Instagram from years ago. But that shit was dope. Like I felt very like valued in that moment. Like I was just like, wow, like you trust me with something to say. And like I think that was the first time too that Joe and Jimmy had like showed the concept trailer in a large audience, because it was already like on YouTube, I think, at that time. And I remember
the
it
one where
coming out.
Jimmy's skating down the hill.
Yeah.
And like shows up.
That came out in
pictures.
high school.
Yeah.
That's just special. I think the fact that David Talbot is an author that writes about history, including San Francisco history, and his son directed The Last Black Man, and you know Jimmy from parties, and I went to like high school with Nat. I've never seen because I went to Soda, and there would be a media night where the media kids would showcase their films, and Nat, I think his senior year, my sophomore year, something like that, showcased. It was a film that was directed by, I forgot, they had a different name at the time, but it was the brothers. It was Joe and Nat, and Joe had like left Soda. I think he dropped out. I don't know what. And Jimmy was in the film. I remember seeing that film, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, the cinematography was super dope, and it's just super dope to see the lineage, and like, because even besides those family members, right, and like your connection, Frisco has this crazy history of like different backgrounds and cultures and like intentions coming together to create magic, you know, simply put. And I think what you're doing and what the Talbots are doing, it like continues that heritage, you know.
Yeah.
And speaking of directors, I wanted to come to you and ask Serial, like when Mike, I mean, obviously we talked about how it happened in the car during our short film, but what was your first reaction to what he was pitching, and like what was your perception of it, and then did you feel like, how did you want to like plug in? You know, did you have something you want to offer? Did you, you know?
I mean, so Mike and I have known each other since we were kids, and then kind of got reconnected through the Justice for Mario Wood Coalition, Mario Woods Coalition work in 2016 with Satchel as well. And I think from there we were doing this like mixture of like political work and then like art. And there was always that kind of constant like loop of things of like we'd go to an action and then everyone like go to a show after or something. And
Right.
and I think so starting from then in 2016 to fast forward to 2020, I think we had redeveloped a relationship of trust, of like definitely shared political vision and art vision. I mean, I remember at the time, I feel like you and I and Mike would have these constant conversations of like looking around at artists, you know, who we're standing shoulder to shoulder with and being like, wow, there's like a Frisco Renaissance. Like how, like we are standing next to folks who are amazing artists, talented artists who just like needed the right moment, needed the right shot. And it felt more and more true every year that we all developed together and like we're creating this art community here. And I think when Mike approached me, we were in the middle of production for Dedicated, which felt super special as like that kind of moment of like really bridging the political and art world together and making something that was like wanting to speak from like a soul level. And I think, you know, reading the scripts initially, I think I was taken aback because I was like, there's these really intense leaps from episode to episode of like what they're about. And some are so like just on some I don't know how to like I don't know, some like not basic but like sitcom, like there's sitcom influence kind of shit, and they'll be in that moment and then all of a sudden like Mike's talking about revolution or well, maybe not Mike's character, but like someone's talking about something, and you know, you're having this, and I think it felt so reflective of like where we were in, you know, when we were 18, 19. And in like you're saying, like in that headspace of like starting to navigate the world when the world is all against you. And yeah, I think it just like spoke directly to me in that sense of like bridging, a continuation of bridging those worlds together. And it felt like so like intrinsic to be like, yes, of course, like of course this is gonna happen, of course this is where we're gonna go. And that it needed to respect again like the preview's quality. It needed to, you had this great script that was playing with like magical realism, that was playing with comedy and drama, and it felt like doing something where it not only the script was great, but that we had something that looked really clean and looked cinematic was important to like showcase like the seriousness that actually is underneath the script, even in the sitcom moments. Yeah,
and I mean, aside from the sitcom notes, I feel like when you describe Rent Check and stuff, there's a lot of parallels between the feeling behind that and you're Dedicated, and then even all the way back to what's the first video that you did with
us two?
Yeah,
Serial.
Yeah.
That shit was dope.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I feel like Rent Check is the next step, and like I think it's gonna be a core defining moment in your life and in your life, but I think it also adds to the lineage of our collective like movement's contribution to like the cultural legacy of the Bay Area, which is also just the cultural legacy of the world.
And the universal idea that everybody kind of seems to have that always gets, you know, pushed forward to some extent.
And it's like hella collaborative. It's almost like it's purposely trying to bite off more than it can chew. Like you're trying to talk about capitalism and talk about love and talk about Black experience and artistry from the, like you're trying to do all of it, you know, but you're able to do it, you know. I think you as a director, that's what's always been most impressive, and I've been most impressed by that, where it's like when I hit you for Dedicated to Those Who, I was like, I want to do these beats with crazy visuals and talk about Frisco politics.
Party. It was gonna be a party at first.
Right, and that's COVID also messed up our film, and it turned it into something complete. There was gonna be like 3 scenes. There was gonna be a party in the house.
We're gonna film here, right?
Yeah.
And Jules was able to pivot and create something new, and it bit off not more than it could chew, but it tried to like wrap everything that we've been experiencing as young creatives in the Bay, which is really just taking in the world, you know, what it's been through and what it's going to, or where it's going, and trying to like express it and express from our point of view for the sake of the world, you know. And I think what you guys are doing with Rencheck is like furthering that practice, really.
And I think Mike's script, you know, and Mike's direction and our collaboration, I think what Rencheck is able to do is like those conversations are very easily had together. I think that they seem like they're antagonizing subjects, but they're only antagonizing because the people who are, you know, financing media don't want those conversations to be had. And the fact that this is like a grassroots project and made for and by the people it's about, we're actually able to have those conversations without censoring ourselves. And I think that's what makes a difference. Same with Dedicated, where it's like, and just like grassroots art movements is that, and we need that because those are reflections of where the people are and the conversations we're having. And we're not like having, you know, some network or some private investor tell us what we can or can't say, or try to gear a story to be, you know, financially successful. Like, this is not, I mean, I think we have high hopes for where Rencheck will go, but this iteration of it, this web series, the goal is not to make money, and we are definitely not making money on this. But the goal is to say something and to respect like the folks who did put in money to it and give them something back that's like a reflection of where they are already, you know. And yeah, speaking to that like cultural legacy of SF artists, you know, trying to break a system down of what the expectations are in an art form and make something new with it.
Yeah.
I'm like hella impressed with the fact that like I feel like all of us as artists can take experiences, right, and then like mold it into our art in a way, right, with stand up, with making music, with making film. But like what blows me away is the fact that like you took his vision and made a thing, you took my vision, you made a thing, and so like to be able to adapt and agree and then still make it your own too is such a power. It's like it's fucking so dope because it's like Dedicated is nothing like Rencheck, and it's like not nothing, but it's like
it's pretty
different. It's very different, but it's like
voices,
different voices, and it's also very Satchel and very Mike. You know what I mean? And it's like.
But it wouldn't be what it is without the cereal for the kids touch. You know, it's
I think that's
exactly.
It's just some genius ass shit, dude. Like
No,
real shit.
It's really
crazy.
No, it really is magic, you know. And I think we should all be proud, but you two should be very proud of the stamp you're putting on for the city, but like it's for the world, you know, for the good of the world, you know.
Yeah, speaking to definitely that universal experience for sure.
Right.
Do you guys have like a favorite film day? As in, I guess Mike, maybe something that you really enjoyed seeing become a thing from the script you wrote? And then Jules, for you, either that or also just on a filmmaking level, what was really fun to film?
Favorite film day?
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah,
scene
they-
was most
Super
fun for us?
exciting
Yeah.
moment on set.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Fucking.
What?
There's a bunch, but definitely the birthday sequence.
Who's in that one? Or what is that one?
I guess without giving away too much.
It's
Drink
so
some more
What
wine,
did you
man.
What did you feel when you filmed it?
Oh, I felt so. I was excited. Also, I mean, there's like a little bit of stress because like me and Jules had to manage like what fucking like 20, 30 people in one.
Yeah, it was a lot of folks.
Under
but
COVID.
I think what was like cool, at least for that shoot, was we had already filmed.
Yeah.
I feel like quite a lot. So we had. I think that was what something that was kind of crazy was, and I still feel so fucking green in so many ways. But also like over the course of shooting, how. I mean, because it happened over a number of years, how much we grew. And I feel like every time we had a bout of shooting, it was like, okay, new tools in the belt, like better understanding of how to like, move people and like have a better set. I think the day that Mike's speaking to was, we were driving across town, multiple locations, hella folks, having to handle... there was definitely a couple different like hiccups along the way, but what was great was like it was always like a good time.
Yep.
Like, it was never. I feel like everyone always was having a good time. There was never any real issues on set that were like between crew, and I feel like that's such a. I've been talking to so many folks about in the film industry like how corrosive it can be to be on set because folks are really awful to each other all the time, and there's a culture of like gossip and there's a bunch of different stuff that kind of amalgamates into pretty horrible like set conditions. And even when it's good ones, it's like it's difficult. But I feel like every set we had, it was like it was great because everyone was able to contribute. And add to like the scene and put their art on it in a really like unique way that I think a lot of sets don't necessarily let folks do.
Yeah, I mean that's a tribute to me and her energy though for sure. I think like our ability to pivot, but two, like we ended every film day at least like an hour, 2 hours early.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is like we're just cruising through. I mean, the shots were good, but it's also just the energy. No one was like screaming at each other on set. Also, I mean, like cats are our friends. It'd be kind of wild if that's what was happening. But you burnt my foot, or I don't know. But anyway, it's like, I think the collaborative effort, or just the understanding that like, just because you are the PA or the sound man, it doesn't matter if you're the director or the star or not. Me and Jules both understood that like everyone has valuable ideas to bring into the table.
Yeah.
Everyone added on in their own way. Like I think this would be funnier. I think this would be good. I think the lighting actually. I think like that shit was so dope. Honestly, everyone felt so comfortable expressing their opinions while we were filming, and I'm glad we built that like environment. You know?
And it wasn't disruptive.
No.
Like it never felt disruptive. I think this is something I think we also learned kind of as we were filming was, originally like Mike is doing everything. Mike is directing and starring. But then when Mike was in front of the camera, it was like Mike is in character. Mike directing while you're acting is a feat. But I think how you were able to do it was like the rehearsals were fantastic and like the amount of rehearsals you were able to have. But then you trusted your crew to come in, and I think it was like when you were in character, you let the crew also be part of the directing process. Everyone, it wasn't like, I don't think anyone felt it was a burden. Like it was, everyone wanted to kind of jump in and like make suggestions in a way that actually added to everything. Because I think there's times where you're in a situation like that and it can be like, it can be bad, and it could be kind of you're putting work onto people that isn't their job and yada yada. But everyone was like super excited to like add in. It was
No, 100%. I mean, it helped me out a lot. 'Cause, I mean, I was definitely thinking about how am I acting? How are they acting? How does a shot look? How are we gonna get this next scene done? Do we have enough time? Are we doing this with enough time? Am I doing good? There was just so many things happening in my brain to the point so I could lean on people that weren't like, "Why you leaning on me, bruh?" Like that shit was beautiful. Obviously, I leaned on you the most, right? But it's just like this fucking great to be able to trust the people around her and to trust your team. That shit is so fucking important because boy, oh boy.
Well, it also shows you the importance of having a team in the first place. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, working on film sets outside of this regularly, Jules. I mean, do you have any film set horror stories that you've experienced in the past? You know, like.
Yes.
Jules calls me every week with a new one. But
Or is it just always something where it's not even like there are notable things? There's always just something I have to deal with.
I think there's a lot of the smaller sets I've been on for the most part have actually been pretty okay. Like I feel like I've had when it's a smaller crew, usually things have gone better. Doesn't mean things are the best. But I feel like some of the like I don't know if I like should say this, but just that like I think that when you're doing art for money is always a slippery slope, right? Like if you're making music and you got you got someone breathing down your neck to like make the next hit or whatever, or just that you're making a beat for someone and they're telling you what they want, or vice versa, you're writing something, it's work. It's not like it can be connected to the art, but also like a commercial is a commercial,
Yeah.
And I think in the film industry there's such a like I was talking about earlier, just like an embedded culture of gossip, of shitting on each other, and I think there's this expectation of like if you're young and you're coming up, you're gonna get eaten alive, and that's just like to be expected, and there'll be a time when you're in a bigger role and then you're gonna do that to someone else, and like why is that? Like why do we need to do that? Why do you have to do that to young people, or folks who are just like, I mean, it's literally just classist, at a certain point, and racist and sexist and homophobic, right? Because who are the people who are on the bottom? It's like it's all the white guys who are on top, and fucking roles. Horror stories on set, just rooms of literally like white people, mostly white men, making decisions about films that they shouldn't be making decisions about. And I think that's what's like funny is like you see that shit in movies, making fun of movies and like the film industry, and like no, like that shit's so, I mean, like we know it's real, but it's weird like seeing that in person too. I guess it's wild. It's like, haven't you seen like the literal like comedy about yourself? Do you not see the irony of like what you're perpetuating? And the answer is they don't care because they're lining their pockets. And
Or I mean, the people writing the satire are the same demographic of the people they're writing the satire about a lot of times.
Yes.
So I see that for sure.
Which is exciting again about Rent Check. I think that grassroots media is where it's at, and where folks should like support your local artists always, and I think also support local film, support local media being made, because oftentimes like that's actually where folks are able to say the things that you as an individual in the world wanted to hear, and maybe it's it doesn't look like some HBO special or whatever, but someone put in the love that you wanted to be put into, and the person who wrote that is you know.
Have you heard of no, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, and he said, I guess it came up or something, and Michael Bay ended up explaining that if he makes himself the biggest asshole, then everybody on set has somebody to go against. So it's like kind of this unifying like tactic. It's like make me the person that everybody hates, so they don't hate each other, you know, and I'll be the dude on top.
Sorry.
Yeah. But it's just I don't know. Like I don't know what you think about that method, but I don't know. It seems to
Might
maybe
be
work.
asshole.
Making you know martyr. I don't know if martyring
That just
yourself
sounds
is
toxic.
Like
Yeah, it sounds-
fascistic, like,
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
bullshit.
Yeah, and
Sounds
it's
wild.
like and it's like you know, it's just like the old school chef that just yells at his crew and you know running his set out of fear, you know, instead
Yeah.
of love.
Was it the Gordon Ramsay treatment?
Yeah, that type of shit, you know, like develop a thick skin or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, not to interrupt your
No, you're
question.
good.
I just, you know.
Earlier, you had talked about how you still feel like you're green, and especially when you first started the series, you feel like that. But then through each episode, you feel like you picked up more tools. I was wondering if you could talk about maybe specific moments where you feel like, oh, that's a new tool, and then also just the importance of like kind of learning on the go. I feel like a lot of folks expect to be like professional, and then they can be professional. But I think usually like you get good by just throwing yourself in the deep end. You know.
That is true. I think similar to Mike. Mike was kind of talking about this earlier, but I think one of the most, I feel like quote unquote professional tools that you can have in your pocket is that to learn to let go, like to learn to part of the reason you are asking people to help you is for them to help you, and I think so the camera operator, JR, Isabel, Haran. There's a couple other folks too who at different moments came in. Miguel as a gaffer. I think as my main role on set was DPing, and I think I didn't feel I had done a lot of camera work before in different ways, but having all these folks come in to help as a camera team was so important, and being able to not feel like I'm still the DP, but here's also someone who's more experienced than me who can help me craft the shot that I'm going for and the motion that I'm going for, because they have the experience and they have the muscle, you know, already built in, where I'm like, I know what I want, I'm not quite sure how to pull it off. What do you think? And that's not like, I think it's like that coming to that moment, which I'm sure you've also experienced in the show too, where it's like recognizing the gaps in knowledge that I have and learning to not be embarrassed about it, but to like be, okay, who do I need to ask to help me fill in those gaps and answer my questions? And I feel like everyone who like I was able to bring on to the team, through Surge, through Friends of Surge, was amazing and just like so ready to like learn together and help one another. And so I think like in that way I was learning constantly of like new things, and like there was tech things I was learning, but there was also like creative decisions that different folks would suggest where it's like, oh, I wouldn't have thought about it that way. And through that process, I feel like I was able to better define like, okay, what's the look of the show and what's the feel that I want to create, and how can the writing and the cinematography best help each other with the experience and the like equipment that we have in this moment. So it's like I think, and now green, I feel like I don't feel green, but I definitely feel like have experience from a like grassroots media perspective of like, I do feel like I understand now like how to pull off a shoot with having the most basic of tools and still be able to like make a scene and do it well. And I feel like now seeing like, you know, the color corrected footage of the show, it's like, whoa, like that actually like it stands, like we fucking made something. I mean, now
dude.
Yeah, I feel fucking proud.
Me too. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, you were talking about this the other day too. Because it's coming out, you're able to announce it. You have articles coming out, and you really have that title now as on this you're a co-director, right? But you're a director. So just in the same vein of like, you weren't a director when you wrote the series,
No.
but you wrote the series with you in mind as a director, and that's what made you a director. So I guess one, just like hammering in, like if there's something you want, I know it sounds corny, but like just kind of look for the ability to put yourselves in those situations, because I can relate to, like, I don't think I'm green, but there's often times where I am hyper aware that like there's so much more I need and I want to know. So because of that, and that, if I'm looking at my future self, where I know I'm gonna get, I'm so green, you know. But in the grand scheme, I have this whole skill set. But I got there because I just kept doing things and putting myself in situations where I didn't fit 'cause I didn't know, but I figured it out by putting myself in that position, you know. So what's your like experience in like stepping into that role as writer and director, and where it's like kind of like the first time you're really doing that?
Yeah. Shit, man. There's still stuff. Yeah, it's funny you said that. There's still a lot of stuff I feel like I need to learn. But even with like stand-up comedy, I've been doing comedy for 2 years before I felt like I can call myself a comedian. And someone didn't even tell me that. The person who plays my mom, Pam Benjamin, she came up and told me, because I did a 30-minute set on my 21st birthday at Mutiny Radio. And I was still like, no, I'm trying comedy. And Pam was like, you're a fucking comedian. That's ridiculous that you just did that. You know what I mean? And I was just like, yeah, shit. I just took it to heart, and I felt good. And it's like
30 minutes is a lot for a set
I
too.
know.
Yeah, you know, like people do a quick 10 or something. You know, like
it was lit. And that's how I felt. You know, with writing and acting as well. It's just like I still didn't feel like that for a while, and then like having to watch the first like early times of us editing the show. Like, it was hard for me to watch myself on screen, dude.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch my writing, watch my, like, all the shit come out. And, you know, as much as you like to just sit there and be like, nah, I'm the shit no matter what, comedy and art in general is a reaction game, dude. Like, I don't know I'm funny until you laugh.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know if my shit's good until someone's like, your shit's good. And so it's like...
You can't read the room.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like... so yeah, stepping into that, like I feel like very confident in that shit now, like writing, directing, acting, like I still have miles to go, but I think I don't remember the specific moment where I felt that, but I tripped that those are the titles that I have just the other day. Me and Satchel were chilling. Was it yesterday? Even?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah. Holy fuck. Okay. So, yeah, yesterday I was sitting in the fitness lab at this job that we have, this extravagant job. Now we work at a school together. But
SFUSD.
Yes, indeed. Doing everything in ways. But I was sitting in a classroom, and I had read a post that said comedian, writer, director, and actor Mike Evans Jr., and I just started tearing up. I was like, fuck, that is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that, right? It's written in the credits. It's written in all the things that we do and we're putting together. But, like, to see other people see it, too, I think it really fucked me up for a second mentally. I was just like, I know this is what I wanted. I know this is what I'm passionate about. And to see it officially, I think it just really hit me in that moment. I think it's going to hit. Me and Jules talk so much about how we're both just going to cry during the premiere. And we've talked about that even like years ago.
I don't think you'll be the only one.
Yeah. Good. But yeah, dude.
I'm going to give it like a standing ovation like in the middle of the second.
That actually makes sense for you too.
It's a trip, dude. When you care about some shit so fucking much, that imposter syndrome gets real, dog.
Yes.
I mean, I'll be honest, bro. I am worried about seeing myself on that fucking theater, dude. I'm like, I just know I'm gonna hear my voice or some shit and be like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Shut up.
that's really
Like,
the fucking
you know.
key. Like, you need. I tell everyone who started making beats or some. I was like, you have to suck.
Yeah.
You have to, like you said, it's a reaction game, and it's definitely based off what other people react. You know, if you tell a joke and they don't react well, then that gives you some feedback. But how do you react? You know, and like, you know, if I listen to beats from like a year and a half ago, I'm like, you know. But you have to put yourself in a situation where you can critique yourself out of love. You know, don't hate on yourself. I think that's the the trickiest balance, or it's like the imposter syndrome, where it's not fair to feel like an imposter, but it is love to just give yourself some feedback, like
100%.
honest feedback about how you feel about your performance and what you're doing, while like remembering that you're gonna keep going,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, I think everybody needs that moment where they look at everything they've done and they go, well,
Yeah.
technically, I'm a director. Yeah, I am. All right, cool. All right,
Yeah.
now that you can define it that
Pee
way.
real quick.
Oh, yeah, all
Sorry.
good. We always have pee intermissions,
pee.
so we'll be right back, y'all. Okay, we're back.
We never left.
We never left. Yeah, man. What are you most excited for at the Roxy? Are you gonna have a Q&A?
Yeah. So
No,
the
Yeah.
I thought, no.
yeah. The
I
Q&A.
thought we were. Oh, never mind. Haha. Yes.
At the yeah. So it's gonna go stand-up show and then the.
Oh, you're gonna do
screening.
stand up before it too. That's awesome.
Not I.
Oh,
I mean, I'll
not
do like
you.
a funny speech, but it'll be like.
Can you
like,
say who is?
no? But like people
shit.
who are in the show are gonna do stand-up before, and then and the show is gonna. I'm more than positive. Me and Jules will go up and say thank you. You guys are now presenting Rent Check series. And then the first 3 episodes of the series will play. The first 3 episodes, not the entire show. The first 3 episodes will play. And then after that, we'll do a Q&A with me and Jules. And then get drunk. But,
Yeah, is there an after party, dog?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, get some cracking, please.
I haven't released the details about that just yet.
Oh, not yet. No,
But
it's
yeah.
all good. I don't need to find out until right after.
Yeah.
That night is put away for me. I'm ready.
Is there anything you're nervous about? For
Yeah.
How people will react to the show, or
Yeah.
Like-
What?
Okay. I mean, like, I'm wildly confident in this show, but at the same time, like, I think not everybody knows me like the way you 3 know me, and so
People's
coworkers-
expectations, I
Yeah.
think, are gonna be met and also very, very taken for a journey.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess like,
Yeah.
well, there's a lot of heart in this. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of experience that you're trying to communicate to people. But there's also Mike Evans Jr., just the silly comedian guy within it all. So is there any kind of concern that might, as a stand up too, that jokes won't go over and
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like, I think for the people who want, I think for people who like think it's gonna be 100% political, will be like, oh, this is funny. People who want it to be 100% funny and be like, oh, this is political. You know what I mean? And I think that's the cross that I think me and Jules keep thinking about. It's just kind of like, yeah, like, I hope you like it. Because it's good, but it's like, we know what it is, but, it's, like I said before, like, y'all know me more than anybody else, and so it's like, not everybody knows every side of me. You know what I mean? Not everyone knows every side of Jules. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, my coworkers and, maybe my elementary school teachers who donated aren't going to like some of the jokes. And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Last time they saw me, I was like, hi, like, oh, adorable Mike. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, oh, that's how you feel?
Yeah.
Huh.
that's
Yeah.
what you talking about?
Miss Gorman.
Huh?
I said, shut up, Miss Gorman.
Yep, shout out. Mr. Oh, God. Yep.
I mean, honestly, you want to feel like, oh, in the crowd, when a joke happens, you want a couple grimaces. You want reactions of
They'll-
all
I
varieties.
think there definitely will be.
There will be that.
Yeah.
For sure.
There will be blood.
Yeah.
Some liquid.
Oh boy.
But what do you...
What kind of liquid? Anyway, what kind of liquid?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have a 40 with you the whole time?
Yo. Nah.
You should just get the Roxy to sell 40s that night, instead of
Trust.
regular concessions.
Yeah, you really should just hand everyone who walks in gets a 40.
Yeah.
Trust and believe. I wish that we could do
Yeah.
that.
How much does a 40 cost? now?
Everybody who gets a ticket, they get a free 40 with it.
40 costs like what? Like fucking
Like
250. So 200 people, right?
Yeah. 233 fit in Roxy Theater.
It's not
Yeah,
250.
$500.
It is not
Yeah.
I don't know why I need
250
to
for a
calculate
40
that.
anymore.
That
It's
was
probably like,
It's like $3 now.
yeah. I mean, granted, I haven't bought a 40 in a long time.
Yeah.
to be honest.
They're plastic though, so it's not worth it.
What's your 40 of choice,
same.
Mike?
We get some glass ones.
You have to go to
What's your 40 of choice?
Old English. Come on.
Yeah, OE.
Really?
No, it was Court 45 for a while. Then it
Oh,
was
wow.
Miller High Life for a while too.
Damn.
I'll
I
go.
was always oldie.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to get like fucked up, then it was Mickey's.
Yeah.
I've had some.
Was Mickey's higher percentage?
Mickey's was malt. Yeah, it was.
Well, they're all malt.
Yeah,
liquor.
sorry. It was like a higher percentage.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then and then if you brought the Steel Reserve, everybody's like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
looked at you funny, you know. They're like, damn, you got
Yeah.
the Steel, dude. Like,
But I wish, Jules, we could hand out 40s at the door. That'd be so
You
sick.
can't drink the Roxy.
My mom.
No,
would be
they
tripping.
sell alcohol.
you said your mom would
But
be tripping.
I
Yeah.
don't think. I think like a 40 would be.
Extreme.
That would be like because
It
I
might be kind of
some-
rowdy in there.
I mean, I think it's the thing.
Everyone
It's
was off of
already gonna
40.
be kind of rowdy in there. Like,
Well, also too, not everybody. Like most people won't take a 40. Like most people don't drink.
You gotta be like,
40s,
Mom,
you know,
you gotta do it
Yeah.
for me.
for the culture.
You
yes.
gotta drink a 40, Mom.
a 40 fountain.
The bathroom would just be fucking crowded.
Oh yeah.
Floods.
Yeah, no,
One
people-
Bathroom,
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you need an intermission for that. You know,
Yeah.
you can't do 3 episodes without a bathroom break.
40
if you're
time.
drinking 40. Yeah,
Yeah.
40 break. You know,
Man.
yeah. You should get a Rent Check Series edition 40 like this dude did for the dedicated. You know, right there they got the dedicated 40.
Those who,
Yeah, who drink 40s. Is that one of them?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dedicated to those who.
202.
It's class, too.
There was a. We
placement.
touched on it for a second, but let's go back. Were some of the funniest or most exciting moments on set besides Billy Lowe on shrooms? Sick. AKA.
Yeah, exactly.
Gaines.
I think there's this one scene that we did in a car. There's an episode in a car.
Mhm.
Like, and like, how much do I tell?
I know.
There's an episode in a car that I think what's interesting, it was the one we were just talking about it. It was one of the hardest scenes to shoot for a couple different reasons, and then became one of the hardest episodes to edit. And yet I think it's definitely like one of the prettiest episodes.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And I think like definitely one of the meatier episodes too.
Mhm.
I'm like, how much? I feel like it's so vague of a answer.
It's pretty. It's meaty.
Yeah, it's got substance.
Talk about
I feel, okay, is it okay to?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the third episode stars Larry Dorsey and Rich Ayala and Billy Lowe, aka Antoine, Antoine Gaines.
Yeah. His last name is Rudis. It might be one of his last names.
Antoine, thank
Yep,
you.
Antoine. Yep.
You were great.
Yeah. Shout out to you.
But Saida, our production designer, created a very fantastic, like, uber frisco vehicle, just decked out with lights, and Taryn, our costume designer, got these like really great costumes together for Rich and Larry, and it's all inside a car. Like the whole episode is inside a car, and I think that kind of limitation of space was hard to work with. It's like, how many angles can you really do? We were wanting to shoot it on Treasure Island, but then it was like, fuck, we're shooting on Treasure Island. Like, we don't got any money. So we ended up rigging Jill's garage to be this, like, black space around the car. And it just, like, it worked. Like, it fucking worked. And like Mike was saying, Rich and Larry were, like, fucking great on camera, but also, like,
Too good.
Yeah. And like there was like too many great jokes happening, and I think that was like hard in the editing
so it
room.
was hard to pick which ones you wanted to showcase.
Yeah.
What moments?
Yeah, and
That's tough.
Yeah, and so I feel like there's gonna be some cut in the future of like bloopers from that episode particularly. Like Larry's got some great
So that
riffs.
episode was like what fucking like the episode was like 30 minutes. We chopped that shit down like 7 times because it was just like it was just ridiculous. Like Larry would fucking he'd improv his ass off and then to be like, so that was one angle, so you gotta say that exact joke for the other 5 angles we have, dude. And he's like, yeah, and he just get right into it. It's just like shit and match the same energy you said it. It was just like
That's great.
it was lit, it was beautiful, but it was also challenging, dude. Like
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with an actor, even, you know. Like.
Yeah. I think that was definitely a learning moment too. Of like, this is why having, because I mean, like we were saying earlier, like there wasn't like anyone specifically direct. Like you were in the scene, so there's not like a specific director. Like I'm trying to focus on camera, and we're all trying to like figure out what directing in the moment looks like. And I think that this was a moment where it was like, how do we like matching the same energy? And when you're riffing is such a specific comedy thing.
Yeah.
That it was like it was difficult. It was difficult, but it was also exciting. And I think that episode in particular, like. Man, I wish it came out in the when we wanted it to, but also I think it still speaks to like a really specific energy of the time that is still relevant for folks.
Oh boy, yeah.
When was it supposed to come out, or when did you want it to come out?
In in 2020?
Yeah,
But how come this episode you felt especially would have been important if it came out then?
Well, the episode is pretty much about the 2020 election between Trump and Biden, and how essentially we're saying that like, bro, like lesser two evils, they're both evil. They're both old white dudes who don't give a fuck about the country or the people living in it. And so it was like, Larry and Rich both play pimps, and I play Mike, and Mike, looking for himself, doesn't see past the political game that is American politics. So I'm just kind of like, oh no, but every Democrat's great. The world's gonna end if this Democrat doesn't win, right? And Larry and Rich are like, bruh, like politicians are pimps, man. Like they're all pimps, bro. Like this, and that. And it was just such a dope moment. And it was the election. So they were dressed up as pimps, and it's a Halloween episode. And that election happened to be right before or right after Halloween. Right. And so everybody for Halloween was thinking about the election. And so that's how I just honed in on that exact moment of just like, this would be sick because this is a conversation happening somewhere with people in Halloween costumes. Let's just make them pimps because politicians are pimps. And so like, it's still relatable today. No one's going to forget who Biden and Trump are. Right. And politicians are still pimps to this day.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we'll be fine. But I think what's a trip is that filming during 2020, so many fucking things happened. Like either the day before or the day after.
Oh yeah, we were filming actually at Soda for an episode the morning of elections when Biden got elected into office, right?
No, it was still in a lull. We were filming at Soda with Jimmy, and it was during that point of time where we still didn't know who the president was going to be.
Right.
And we were all just kind of like a little on edge, like, oh fuck, like, oh shit, you know? But yeah, it was wild. And I think we even filmed, I think it was like, we filmed the Pimp episode a day after we found out Biden won? Or...
It was definitely, no, that was later on.
Okay.
But I think, no. Or was it before? We have shot over the course of 3 years, and I feel like I can't keep track of time and when things were shot. But it was definitely like, I think that it was before the election. It must have been because I feel like the energy of it was like, oh, I want to get this out because I want people to still feel the energy of like the political question, you know, of the, so.
No, 100%. And like, it's a little weird that election day is always the Tuesday after Halloween. It always is. Forever, right? It's but November 4th.
Yeah, I really never thought about it like that.
Conspiracy is there.
There's something.
Illuminati.
Yep.
There's some symbolism there that I'm not smart enough to figure out right now, but
it's all a joke. It's all a game.
Yeah, it's all
a facade.
Yeah, everybody got a mask on, you know.
or they want people to be like hung up. Anyways,
Hungover when they vote.
Everybody loves Kit Kats.
I think that's what's super cool though about this series. I haven't even seen it yet, but just hearing about this third episode, it's like you get to express different perspectives, all from one platform, one brand, right? It's like you get to showcase the perspective of maybe young people who are just like, it's got to be Democrat, you know, otherwise it can't. And then you get the perspective of people who are like, it's all bullshit, you know. And I'm sure throughout the series you get so many perspectives that we've all bounced in between, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part where I wrote this series too, dude. Is just like I was so tired of being like considered an unorthodox black person when I'm just kind of like, dude, every black person thinks differently about every single topic. Like when politicians go up there, it's like, oh, this doesn't get the black vote. I'm like, I hate hearing the black vote. We all don't have the same thing. You can't just go on the show with Charlemagne and be like, this is gonna get all the black people to vote for me because I'm hanging out with Charlemagne. It's like I'm gonna bring LeBron James on stage. I'm gonna bring Beyonce and Trump brought like Little Pump. It's just kind of like we think in such one fucking way, and it's just like, dude, like there's so many different black characters in the show that I wrote into the show that literally none of us have the same perspective.
Yeah.
And that's real life.
That's super dope.
You know?
I feel like sometimes there is like we often like put ourselves into certain boxes and like, oh, I have to be like this, otherwise I'm not that. And that, I think we normalize it as natural, right? The black vote, but it's really coming from top down, you know?
Yeah.
There are forces that have more control of, like you said, talking about media, whatever it may be, where it's normalized from up here and then we take it in and we kind of act it out. And I think your show is pushing back against it, you know?
Definitely.
And that's super important.
Yeah.
It's tight.
100%. I mean, you know, the fucking beauty of creative freedom. Like, because I'm sure if we brought this to a fucking studio, they'd have been like, well, why don't they think the same? That makes no sense. You know?
Right.
But it's like, you know, we got fucking Clarence Thomas and shout out London Breed and fucking. I can go down a list of people that will get me canceled for talking. Call in London. It's London Breed on the phone. Let's.
But I mean, it's not hard to find somebody in your same, I guess, demographic that have vastly different political views and world views. You know, like it's not all one.
It's 100%, dude. Yeah. Everybody.
Yeah.
I loved how when we were filming, especially there's a lot of moments in the show where I feel like you would talk about what your parents would think.
Yeah.
Like, how is my family gonna react to this series for many different reasons? But I think for this, you know, for the more kind of, you know, gross comedy humor, but even more so for the political humor, and I think that's what makes these certain episodes feel super authentic, is that you're like that controversy that you're speaking to is like you're speaking from that authentic place of like, this is literally a conversation I have with my mom, right? And
yeah, there's definitely moments in the scripts where it's just like verbatim conversations I've had with like my parents or like other mentor figures over the years, or just even through, you know, through protests and stuff, meeting people, having conversations. Like I am still nervous for my parents' reaction, you know, even though I'm almost 30, like I'm still a baby boy no matter what, you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
well, I remember you even like the day we were filming at Tennessee Grill, you were like, I literally had this conversation that I'm acting out the day before. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm doing what I did yesterday in real life, but right now for the movie, which
that's crazy because you had written that episode
way before.
This is like the prelude, right?
Yeah.
With Centerman.
Yeah.
You had written that way before you filmed, or you had written that before you experienced that with your family, right?
Yeah. So like, you know, I'll say a family member. I'm not gonna say any names, but a family member had told me that they were a police officer, and it was like within the same. I want to say it was within the same like hour of seeing the video of George Floyd. And it was just like such a complete mind fuck of a thing.
He said he was one already.
He was one already. Like he didn't tell me they were like, you know, signing up to do it or going to that, because obviously you're telling me that, you know, seeing your relative be in all these protests and all the things I posted on social media at the time, still, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, obviously it'd be hard to tell someone that, right?
Yeah.
But for me to find out in the way that I found out was so mind blowing. And then also, like, I had already written that script, which, like, we had that conversation of, like, hey, this isn't about you, but boy, oh boy, was this crazy timing. You know what I mean? Like, and so that, it's a trip, dude. People say, like, Simpsons can predict the future, but it's just like, if you create shit based off of authenticity, I feel like a lot of shit is just gonna come true.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or, well, hope some things don't come true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it's definitely trippy as fuck. And even to take this back to Sam and Hilo, they worked at a dispensary together, and the argument they had was about them working at a dispensary.
Oh,
and
really?
that happened way after.
That's crazy.
And like, cause Sam walked up to me, he was like, "Yo, remember we did that? That's what our lives are now." Everyone's like, "Holy shit!"
Since you predicted 2 different things.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you predicted?
We'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I mean,
no. Nothing else I predicted so far.
okay.
But we're excited to see it.
Yeah.
And
Hell
yeah, it's already proven to be a prophetic piece of work. So, you know, good job, guys. And
Thank you.
everybody,
Thanks for having us on.
yeah, thank you
Oh,
for
yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Very exciting to talk about what we're about to see on May.
So May 11th is the premiere, and
Yep.
then May 18th, the first episode will be available on YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay. And you guys have a,
Series.com.
yeah, I was about to say you have your own website as well.
Yep.
And, yeah. And just where can people find you guys individually?
In general?
No, I just
Like,
like
what's your
Instagram,
handle on
like, you know, yeah.
God.
Where do you live, bro?
Keep that. Cause I was just like, Safeway? Fucking.
Like, I go
just,
on Mondays I work.
yeah, like, I go on runs.
Where can they find you at?
Literally.
Like, they can't find me.
I did not put 2 and 2 together.
If they search
John
digitally.
Cena.
I'm glad you all picked up. Like, no, Mike's like getting this
Yeah.
question. No, on social media, everybody loves Mike. Everybody spelled normally. Love spelled Lovez. Mike. Facebook, Mike Evans. No one's on Facebook, but just everybody loves Mike
Everybody
on
loves
Instagram.
Yeah, rentcheckseries.com.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then it's at Cereal for the Kids. And then we also have a series Instagram too at Rentcheck Series.
Rentcheck Series.
Awesome.
Rentcheckseries.com. Rentcheck Series. Everybody loves the Z, Mike. Cereal for the Kids. Any last words?
What's your favorite movie? I'm sorry, that's not
Oh,
last words.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just like,
what's your favorite movie, both of you? And who's your favorite stand-up, both of you?
Ooh.
Okay.
I love this movie called Nowhere by Greg Araki. It's this queer 90s neon, like, dark comedy, chaos, death movie. And just, like, really crazy humor. Highly recommend. And then it's based... He has a trilogy that also... God, I'm blanking on the name of the trilogy, but there's 2 other movies attached to the trilogy that are also, like, about queer young people in LA who are, like, just completely obsessed and involved in capitalism and also its victims, and talking about homophobia and sexism and racism, and doing so with, like, neon costumes and lighting and I don't know, just craziness. So good.
that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Aliens.
much in one.
Yeah.
And aliens. You threw that in at the end.
Aliens, yeah.
Plus
sorry.
aliens. Plus aliens.
Yeah.
Should have said that first.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
It's a tie. It's a 3-way tie of the most random movies that have nothing to do with each other. It's a tie.
Superbad's on there, huh?
Yeah, it's a tie between Superbad, the Malcolm X movie with Denzel Washington, and Back to the Future 2. They all have nothing to do with each other at all.
Who's the director? AKA rent check series.
That actually makes so much sense though for your personality.
Yeah.
Those are your movies.
That's hella
I try
true.
to say something else all the time. I'm like, no, it's those three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What is my favorite movie? What is your favorite movie?
I don't know. I mean, I have like fucking pretentious artsy answers, and then I have like just casual
I don't
answers.
think I have. Oh,
But-
yeah. Have you seen Whiplash?
Yes. That the ending, the last scene.
Bruh, that's
yeah.
one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever. Because
What's
I'm all
that? What's the actor's name again?
the kid.
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller
Oh, wow.
is so good.
I was
Yeah.
sick.
And
Dude.
what's his name? Something Simmons.
No.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
He plays.
I
Yeah.
love J.K.
Yeah,
Simmons.
he's great.
great.
Yeah.
Dude, that last and I'm a drummer, or I used to be a drummer, now I'm a producer. So and like the whole get better and that kind of
Bleed. Bleed. Sasha,
Yeah,
bleed.
exactly. That shit was hella sick. It was crazy.
Y'all ever?
Satchel told me to watch that on the plane on the way back from New York. He's like, you didn't watch it? That's crazy, man. The look of disappointment in his face was like, because I was watching fucking Lilo and Stitch, and he was like, bro, you didn't watch Whiplash?
It's crazy, man. That's fucked up. What's the movie you've been telling me to watch for fucking years?
ATL.
ATL. Hustle and Flow?
ATL's fucking great.
Well, now who's your favorite stand-up?
Richard Pryor. I think and also just even thinking about like, I had to even talk about this. Even Richard Pryor has a show where like he only did one season, but it slipped into so much political shit that it caught people off guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I never even brought that up to you, but I think I was a little bit inspired by that when coming up with this and feeling like confident to have like crazy sex jokes with just crazy political commentary just in the same thing. Because he tried it and then he was just kind of like, NBC was like, you can't do that second season. He was like, well, goodbye.
Yeah.
You know?
In the mind of someone's honest,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just wanted him to be funny.
Yeah.
And it's just like, funny comes from so much shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, he was raw, but fucking real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, 100%. We have a whole episode dedicated to Richard Pryor.
Hey. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I could
that's-
share that. It's okay to share.
I think that's
That
a good
sounds
share.
Sick.
Yeah.
How about you, Jules? Do you have a favorite stand-up?
I feel like there's a lot of people I like. I mean, Robin Williams stand up is so great and just craziness.
Fool speaks so fast.
And I grew up watching the 1491s a lot, which is this like they weren't doing stand up, but they were doing like comedy, like web YouTube early stuff. And they're like a group of like indigenous comedians who now are, a lot of them are tied to the show Res Dogs.
Yeah.
And that's been super cool to see that kind of blossoming. But they're great, and their comedy is like super on point and political and just fucking funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's tight.
You have a favorite stand-up?
I don't know stand up enough to pick a favorite one. Same with the movie stuff.
Mike, you gotta
You
educate
picked. You
friends.
picked Whiplash.
That's true.
You had a favorite movie.
I mean, I love Dave Chappelle. I know there's some tricky shit there, but it's someone I love dearly when I watch a stand up.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Everybody has
about you?
moments. Norm Macdonald.
I don't know who that is.
It's my favorite comic.
Hell yeah.
He's just that fool is ridiculous. I mean, if you see him on talk shows too, it's like I don't know. He's constantly fucking with people, but is like usually the smartest person in the room. Without making himself seem like it. I highly recommend Norm Macdonald.
Yeah,
He's fucking great. R.I.P.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
to him.
Oh damn.
Yeah, he would just say like, I don't know, like his Comedy Central roast was him just telling dad like shit jokes, like he would enjoy bombing, like there's this famous story of him like if he would do well at a show, he would go upstairs and play poker. But if he did bad, if he bombed, he would stand by the entrance and greet people as they left. To just body that L and just be like, he thought it was funny that people didn't like his jokes. So he'd be like, you know, and that's a huge inspiration for me too. It's like, dude, just enjoy.
Right.
Like, it is funny when people don't get your shit. It is funny when you're like, it's weird, but then you look back on it and you're like, it's funny. I don't know. It's funny. They were kind of annoyed at that. Or whatever.
It seems like comedians are really comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and that's where a lot of the genius comes from.
Yeah, yeah, and the same for any artist. Like, you have to be ready to get humbled to do good. You know, yeah.
That was inspiring. What the hell? Like, to bomb and then greet the people afterwards.
Yeah,
'Cause
right?
Anytime I've bombed, to let you know right now, I leave so quick.
Yeah.
I just go home,
Right.
Yeah.
call Jules, say, was this worth it?
Should I continue?
What am I doing?
Do you have a worse bomb?
Oh, boy. Do I? It's a tie between two. I've pissed off liberals and I've pissed off conservatives in the same, like, way. Y'all know about the liberal one very well. The cum bucket story. Is that?
At SF State?
Tell that story.
Yeah.
How much time we got?
I mean, we do have to. This camera might die at any second, but I love talking to you, so it's hard to cut this off. But you know, yeah.
I told a joke. Granted, this is like year 2 of me doing stand up. Just putting in perspective. Didn't know how to read the room. Sometimes I still don't. But we were all at SF State, and good friends of mine were not eating. And
so they were already in a picky mood.
was already mad. No, but
Well, I think we enjoyed it.
I honestly, I was laughing my fucking ass off, dude.
I told this joke, dude. It was like I already did like what 25.
Who was the
minutes.
crowd?
Okay, so
Who was the audience?
Just everybody I've ever respected in my life, just all there. No, it was like mostly like professors, activists,
Organizers,
Children.
children, moms.
poets, like
Elder folk.
It's like right after a cultural performance too.
Yep.
Like
It was after like
Filipino, like,
theatrics of like
yeah.
like violence done by the state from indigenous in the Philippines.
yeah.
And then Mike comes on.
Plus, this was outside, huddled in this busy kind of like
Yep.
outside of the library during school hours.
So the joke I tell, yeah, exactly. The joke I tell, it was like right after 2, we like marched. I like marched to City Hall with everybody with the Frisco 5, and then it was like I was already exhausted, right? So I come back.
How long
state.
was the set?
30 minutes. It's 30 minutes. It was probably
damn.
It was probably 20 minutes. Now I'm thinking about it because once I told the joke, I got booed, which you can't really keep going.
Shit.
All right, but
Did you get booed?
for sure I got
Damn.
booed. I remember it vividly.
I just
remember
remember
what I was wearing.
yeah.
I just remember laughing and later realizing that it was bad. I was like, oh yeah, good.
So,
guess that was
I need another
Hilarious.
joke. I wasn't worried about the
I
joke.
wasn't
So the-
super present.
So the joke, I was just like, I don't know what it is about my face or what I do, but a lot of girls cheat on me. And so now I have this new thing where someone cheats on me, I come in a bucket. And I keep that bucket in the closet. And if that bucket ever becomes full, I break up with them using the bucket. And so I acted out the joke. So I pick up the bucket and like, you didn't think I saw that Snapchat? And I just dump the whole thing on them. And then they glaze up like a donut. I went, and then when I opened my eyes, everybody boo. Everybody boo. Like kids, teachers, ex-Black Panthers, everybody. Everyone boo, right? And the whole time, what was funny about this joke, at the time, only Sam Gable knew this joke existed, right? So in the middle of the joke, the whole time, everyone's just like, where's he going with this? And Sam the whole time was like, no. He was like, what are you fucking doing? Oh my God. He was so fucking scared. Sam
That's when you just enjoy what's about to happen.
Nah,
You just gotta like.
he was trying to stop. He was like, stop it now. Stop. He was like, different joke. Stop. And then it was like, boo. And then afterwards, I try to like hug people. Like, Jules gave me a side hug. They were like, that was fucking hilarious. But yo, not the place.
Yeah.
And, like, Fucking
Man.
my friend's mom. My friend's mom did the same thing. She was like, "Yo, this isn't funny. Like, no, this is hilarious, but I can't hug you right now. This would be a bad look." But every time I see her, she calls me CB, which is code for cum bucket.
Akil's mom?
Yeah. Shout out to Kills. Yeah, Kills. I don't know if
Lisa.
Yeah.
Shout out Lisa.
But literally, like, we'll be in the most like revolutionary spaces. Like, oh, CB's here in front of everybody. Right? But no one knows the CB means besides me. She's like, no, you feel the shame. No one else is gonna know.
CB.
See, I've never been called Mike since then.
I mean, if somebody was like, "Oh, CB" around me, you know, referring to you, I'd be like, "What the fuck is CB?"
CB.
Yeah,
exactly.
like you gotta tell me.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, no, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. Like, yeah,
That's funny.
And the conservative story, I was at like this fucking super rich 1% ass place, like a social club in downtown San Francisco, and it was Fleet Week, and like I was like, make some noise for the Blue Angels. I think all respect to, I don't know, planes, but it's just like, okay, I'll just tell the joke. I can talk forever about my political view on that, but pretty much the joke was like the Blue Angels were in town, and I was like, make some noise if you like the Blue Angels, and everyone was like, yeah. I was like, doesn't that remind you of 9/11? And everyone was like, oh, what the fuck? And like every conservative person in there, and then like some guy talked to me afterwards, was like, yeah, this was like half veterans in here. I was like, Jesus Christ. And like everyone just booed the fuck out of me, but it was my first joke, so I had to keep going for like 15 more minutes of just boos and sighs.
It was like a
and,
paid gig and shit.
Yeah.
It was
Hey, you got paid.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. But you got to do your time if it is, you know what I mean, for sure. I mean,
but then I didn't know. I was just kind of like, nah, the military's mean. They treat people bad, and like America sucks. All the worst things you could say to a conservative crowd. I was
you're
just
trying
like,
to rational, like, give them rational thought to why you think this way, and they're
like, stop.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I was like, but like people who are rich suck. And they're like, we are all rich. I was just like, fuck, dude. And so I just doubled down. I just kept talking about all types of shit. But Rent Check series coming out.
right on for committing, dude.
See, that would have been a great set to be outside or in the front, be like, bye.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Bye.
Fuck
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
yeah.
Bye. Yeah. Get as many handshakes as you can.
Should have got their emails.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, comedy is it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And we
And
grow.
so is film, so is music. You never know what reaction you're gonna get, right? Even from showing certain perspectives from the show, it's like, I think all of us are gonna like it, right? But it's like talking about the political episode with Larry and Rich. It's like so many people probably feel like, no, Biden is our savior, or the Democrats are our savior, right? But it's just
You gotta hurt some feelings.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
gotta
people
shake-
need to be shaken up.
You gotta shake things.
I mean, I probably said this on here before, but if you're not making some people upset, then, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? It's
What's
a
the
good
quote?
sign to have some people.
A friend of all isn't there some quote like that? A friend of many is a. Never mind. Fuck it.
I do know what quote
You know what I mean? Like a friend of many is a.
I don't know the second half of that, but
It's like. Anyway, you're a friend of everybody. You don't really got any real friendships. You know what I mean? You got friends everywhere. I don't know. Who cares? Rentcheckseries.com. I'm looking it up.
But yeah, I'm very excited for the Roxy. Look out for Rent Check series. Thank you for coming on. And have a beautiful
A
rest.
friend of many is a friend to none. That was the whole. That's the quote. That was quote. So.
A jack
Aristotle.
of all trades, master of none. What's another quote? No, I don't know. That one sticks with me all the time, though. Jack of all trades, master of none. Because sometimes I feel like I'd be doing hella shit, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's what scared me about Rent Check.
focus.
honestly.
Focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you will see the fruits of your labor soon.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be a beautiful moment. The Roxy's going to be popping, heart of the mission.
40s for everybody.
Yeah, 40s for everybody.
Especially
Yeah,
mine.
everybody's got to drink a 40 that day. I'll drink a 40.
40s on Satchel, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh,
But, stay tuned for the next episode. We'll have some guests in here soon. Thank you for tuning in. Grateful for everybody. And we'll be back.